Welcome to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement, part of the Treehouse Podcast Network. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Your co-host for today's show, Detective Curtis Hadley.
Lucky to be here, guys. Thank you.
And we've got two guests joining us today. We've got one guest joining us in studio. He's actually a returning guest. We've got John Pellizzari.
How you doing?
And joining us remotely today from the city of Corsicana, Texas, we've got Officer Dante Johson.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good to have you on the show. Everybody doing all right today?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Happy to
Wonderful.
be here.
Wow. Now, John, you said you were doing wonderful today.
Very.
And yeah, a great day for you. And let's elaborate here. John, you were in episode 6.
Correct.
In episode 6, if any of the listeners are out there and you really paid close attention, you know in episode 6, I introduced John as Deputy John Pellizzari.
Correct.
The difference today is we dropped the deputy part off of it and I introduced you as John Pellizzari. So what changed, John?
Retirement about 1 hour and 24 minutes ago.
Who's counting?
After 45 years, I'm saying, stick a fork in me. I'm done.
That's it. Is this final this time? This is it.
No more. I've got a new job starting July 21st.
And what's that job?
Becky's bitch.
Becky's bitch. And John, if you would introduce your wife to the listeners, what is her name?
Becky.
Oh, so you've had a part-time job.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Oh, no, it's going to be full-time.
It's full-time. It's full-time.
No, he went from part-time to full-time. So.
Yeah, he stepped it up a little bit, and I would even say that he's probably got some overtime built in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, congratulations.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
yeah.
And you said 45 years.
Yes, sir.
Man,
Yeah, I'm twice as much as I did.
I was 2 years old. I was 2 years old when they gave him a gun, so go protect.
Well, that's the thing today. At the retirement deal, my daughter had fixed up a shirt with my years, and this one guy walks up and he goes, "I wasn't even born then."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, makes you feel old.
Yeah, don't those young kids make you feel special sometimes? Yes.
What knowledge?
Well, and what agencies, let's remind our listeners, again, you were on episode 6, but you retired from the Department of Public Safety.
Yes, sir.
Then you were out as a deputy town marshal in Red River, New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And then most recently as a sergeant with the Wise County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir. And before that?
There was a before that?
There was. Before DPS, there was Cisco, Texas PD and Breckenridge, Texas PD.
Oh,
That's
I
right.
thought he was going to say security for the 10 Commandments. I was like, wow.
Well, I tell you what, Moses was a little worried because somebody stole one of the tablets, but I was there to help.
There you go. Good job.
And you told me earlier that your first partner, Wyatt Earp, passed away a long time ago.
It was a sad day, but we got the Clanton boys.
Oh, man. He takes it in stride. He'll give him that. He's like, yeah, well, I was there.
He's looking at us like rookies, all
Yeah.
these 20-year officers, 25-year officers roaming around.
I miss that old wheel gun revolver.
Yeah, I can't.
Did you have a gun on your first night? Were there still guns? Or were they invented yet?
Slingshots were it.
Okay, there you go.
Did they?
My firearms instructor was David. We had a giant out there.
That's what happened to Goliath. Center mass, boys. Center mass. Well, we're glad you made it out alive, okay, man? Because some of them, I'm glad you.
It was tough.
We're glad.
Yeah, that's, man, how incredible to do 45 years in the law enforcement profession. So, good, man, John. That's something to be proud of.
It's impressive.
And you're not in a mental institution or anything either. I mean, you look like
Not
you still
yet.
have all your faculties about you after 45 years. So, yeah, congratulations. Now, Dante, how long have you been an officer?
21 plus years.
All right.
I had a break in there, couple of years worth of a break, but I'm back in.
Okay. And where do you work now?
Now I'm a campus police officer at Navarro College.
Okay.
In
Have you worked
Corsicana.
at any other agencies?
I spent 10 years with Navarro County Sheriff's Department and a couple of years with Ellis County, and my 8.5 years with Navarro College before I quiet retired in 2020.
Okay.
And I
And
came back.
you got pulled back in.
Sucked right back in.
Sucked back in. There you go. That's the right word.
They waved some money in my face, and I said, okay.
Well, money does talk.
I mean,
So what all opportunities have you had within your career in law enforcement within those agencies that you worked for?
well, I've gotten to be a pretty steady training officer and bike officer, instructor, internal department, and classroom instructor. I've also gotten to play with SWAT team a little bit, and that was at the county there. But we got to right now. I'm just a basic patrol officer for the time being.
There's a lot to be said for that, because you can go out there, do your job, and go home at the end of the day.
No calls in the middle of the night.
You're not getting called out for anything, and you're not responsible as a training officer for somebody else. That can be nice. Just go out there and handle your business.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, and that being said, you said 21 plus years, and that's big, because I did almost 22 years. So the almost that's big too. That every day counts. Well, that
Absolutely.
being said, in your 21 plus years, have you seen anything funny?
Seen it, been involved in it. I mean, that much time on the streets, you're going to run into something at some point. And John's got twice as much experience as I do here, but yeah, we've come across some pretty funny stuff.
Well, share some things with us.
Let's go way back to field training. I don't know how other departments have done it. I stayed with Navarro County was probably my longest agency that I worked with so far. But when I was on field training, my first field training officer, back then, field training was only 4 weeks. So you spent a week watching, then you would spend a week getting involved. They would give you a couple of weeks actually doing the work, and then you had a ghost week where they just sit back quietly and watched you. So my first week that I was actually driving, my training officer decided to pull a prank on me. At the time, I'm new, fresh, gung-ho, hard charging. He has a buddy lined up that is going to pull in front of me, commit a traffic infraction, and they're going to want to see how I react. I didn't know they were buddies. I didn't know I was being set up, but they just want to see how I would handle the situation. This Dodge Ram pulls in front of me, starts weaving a little bit. I didn't know this guy, and he was a veteran officer. I think he had just retired at the time, but I go to get his license, and he starts getting mouthy. I didn't realize my training officer's in the back watching him through his rearview mirror, telling him, hey, amp it up. Let's see what this guy will do. So he starts getting mouthy on me. One thing in the academy, I wasn't afraid to go hands-on. I went through the academy with people who were people would start fighting.
His buddy.
People would start fighting, and the trainees, the recruits that we were with, would jump back and like, man, this is your time to shine here. So he starts mouthing. I go ahead and start opening the truck door to pull him out. My training officer runs up. He's like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Red.
Thank God there wasn't YouTube back then, right? And we didn't even have dash cameras back then. But the guy that I was fixing to pull out was a retired officer, and he says, "Hold on," and he starts laughing and pointing to my training officer. they were a little bit proud of me that I was going to just go ahead and handle business instead of getting argued with or it was, looking back, it was hilarious. At the time, I didn't know what was going on, but
that would have been funny if you're like, no, you don't know my training officer. I'm not buying this crap, and just you're going to the ground. You know,
that escalated quickly.
and after that, one of my takeaways from that was if somebody wanted to name drop, I just tell them, well, tell them hi. You'll probably see them before I do.
That's a good comeback.
We had, after field training, my first dope arrest. I don't know if y'all remember your first dope arrest, because that was really my big thing getting into law enforcement. Was I wanted to make a change, and get out there and fight crime and fight drugs. And my first dope arrest, I was pulling this guy out of his car and found it was a sandwich baggie that was not zip top, one of the foldovers, full of dried weed. And I reached, get him out of the car. Yeah, we're on the side of the interstate, so you already know. I put that baggie on top of his car and go to handcuff him. 18-wheeler blows by. It's like in slow motion. I just look at that baggie spin on the roof and then blow off, and it just spread everywhere. I didn't know. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to get fired. I looked at the guy. I took the handcuffs off of him, and I said, "You have a good night."
You have a great.
I've got no evidence.
What are you going to do? So I let him go, and I called my sergeant. I was ready to cry. I was so upset. I said, "Man, this is what just happened," and he laughed his ass off. He said, "What did you learn?" I said, "Secure the evidence."
Come back in 3 to 6 weeks. We can probably find it growing again.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's probably so much growing on the side of these county roads out here too. But man, that was one of my craziest.
Man, that's good stuff, man. All right, let's switch over to John here real quick. John, you were on episode 6, and you had a whole list of stories, and of course, 45 years. I'm sure you've collected a lot. We didn't get to a lot of your stories on that episode, so man, share something else with us.
Well, like I said, episode 6, I talked about my field training officer, about us finding the van that the guy was up underneath there to beat the heat.
But you told him he was
beating his mate.
Oh, that's close. It's close.
It was close. The mind said what I was actually thinking, and it just came out that way.
So, for our listeners, if you haven't heard that, check out episode 6, where John approaches someone about beating his meat. All right, John.
Didn't mean to say that, but I did. And like I said, same. And back in my days, we didn't have FTOs. We had somebody that you rode with that broke you in and showed you how to do stuff. The same one that was with me from day one, bless his heart, we get up there, pull over on the side of the road talking about doing motorist assist, pull over there, and there's a car sitting there on the side of the road, 4 people out, 3 guys and a girl. Get up there, one of them hanky feelings you get as soon as you walk up there. As soon as you get out of the car, check out, give them the tag number, get up there, and everything's going along, and I'm thinking, still something's not right, especially the female. Very different about them. Get up there, dispatch comes back and said, car's not reported.
Yeah.
So I get up there and I start looking. I look at it again. I go up there. Of course, typical VIN plate. There's paper stuck over it where you can't see it. You can't reach it, can't get to it, all that good stuff. So I get up there and I go back to the license plate and I start looking. And all of a sudden it clicks in on me. Hey, Texas does not have ocean in their license plate.
Yeah.
They have 0. Right. But this was most definitely an ocean. So I started looking a little bit better, and they have changed that C to an O.
There you go.
Well, I get up there, start scraping. I get the C, boom, comes back stolen out of Colorado.
Nice.
People of interest in a murder.
Oh,
So we hook them up, all this stuff, and take them in there. And of course, back in those days, like I said, we're talking 1981, and we were doing a lot of our own traffic. We're doing our own interviews and stuff. I get talking, and nobody's telling the right story. And I get up there and start talking to the female, and their story is way off and everything. And the more I'm talking, I'm like, this is a dude I'm talking to. This ain't no gal. This is a dude. Because the suspects were 4 males. And I'm like, man, this isn't right. Of course, I'm sitting there and they're in a very well-endowed dress, top, and all of a sudden get up there and I'm sitting there, and like I said, my break-in partner, who just several weeks before that had to endure me asking the guy about him beating his mate. So I walk up there and I look at Larry and I said, I'm fixing to have the shortest career there ever was. He looked and he said, what do you mean? I just reached up right between the breast, jerked the top down, tissue paper went flying everywhere. Before it was all over with, the Rangers came out, got a confession. They did murder the guy outside of Aurora. And Larry looks at me and he's like, man, he said, I've got 20 plus years on. You're just starting your career. Bring it back some. Bring it back, And I'm like, that was it. And I started thinking it worked, and then I started thinking afterwards, man, what if it didn't? And that's when I kind of realized, how it goes with it there. And then, talking break in, let's throw it from 1981 to 2017 or 2019, excuse me.
please tell me you did not do that same technique in 2019.
No, because
The
now
theory was
you
sound.
can't tell because they might have got in and got something changed medically, but whatever. I'm
It's
sitting
male.
there, and I had got a new set of hearing aids. After all these years, your hearing goes out. You discharge guns from inside patrol cars because, like I said, I did come from DPS. We're notorious. If it's rolling, they're not stopping. Take it out.
Man.
So, but whatever. I'm sitting there, and I've got my break-in partner who's teaching me the ways to do it in Wise County SO. We're sitting there going down, and Lyle, good guy, late 20s, around 30, and we're sitting there, and finally, he pulls over on the side of the road, and I'm on my phone that is Bluetoothed into my hearing aids, and I'm carrying on the conversation. Finally, Lyle just pulls over side of the road and just looks at me, and he goes, are you fucking crazy? Have you lost your mind? Do you always talk to yourself? And I'm like, hey, hang on here a minute. And I looked and I said, dude, what? And he goes, are you crazy? He said, you're over there talking to yourself and laughing and everything. And I looked at him and I said, no, I'm talking on my phone. The look on his face was like, oh. He goes, I apologize. He said, let's get back to that. Why am I breaking you in? He said, you've got more years experience than I do alive. And I'm like, I don't know nothing, sir. I'm green. I need you to teach me everything.
Yeah. Teach me something, please.
I mean, and that's the thing. Break-in partners, FTOs, whatever. You form the greatest bind or friendship with them. You just it just happens.
Well, all your FTOs are break-in partners. God, they've got
They're
some
in rehab.
stories to tell. Training you.
If I could,
Like I said, they're in rehab.
if I could talk to Noah right now, man, 2 by 2.
Well, like I said, he's still upset. He's still upset about that time when they tried to grab the chisel when he was doing, and I had to keep the crowd back, but it was tough. Oh, you said Noah. I was thinking Moses there. No, Noah was. I was doing traffic direction.
He did know them both.
I was doing traffic direction as we were bringing them on 2 by 2. It was tough. And it started sprinkling. I was getting worried.
Welcome back to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired Officer Steve Rutherford. Co-host for today's show, Detective Curtis Hadley.
Thanks for having me.
Joining us in studio, we've got retired Deputy John Pellizzari.
Heavy on that retired.
And joining us remotely from Corsicana, Texas, we've got Officer Dante Johson.
Hey guys.
This segment of Offbeat, sponsored by Alexander Financial Management. If you have questions about retirement planning, investment strategies, life insurance, or estate planning, check out Alexander Financial Management at alexfm.com. All right, guys, we heard some great stories there in that first segment. And before we get to the stories in our second segment here, I do want to make mention of something. If our listeners, if you're not familiar with the Treehouse podcast, check the guys out. Check them out at treehouseonair.com. Again, that's treehouseonair.com. On Saturday, the 27th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., the guys on the Treehouse are going to be doing a road show. And it's actually a road show and pool party. The guys are going to be out in Dallas. They're going to be at the Fraternal Order of Eagles in Dallas. That is 80. What did you do?
Sorry, it's just
Your Eagles
He had
sound?
I thought it needed something there. I apologize. I was like, thank you.
Anyways, the guys from Treehouse are going to be at the Fraternal Order of Eagles in Dallas. It's 8500 Arturo Drive. The guys are going to be out there recording live. So get out there, check them out, hang out, have a good time, and party. Both Curtis and I are going to be out there from our show, as well as Joanne Jackson. So we'd invite everybody to come out, have a good time. Again, that's on Saturday coming up, the 27th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., Fraternal Order of Eagles. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. in Dallas. Come out, support the guys, and also the guys will be raising funds for the Listeners Foundation. Of course, the Listeners Foundation benefits the families of our fallen law enforcement and firefighters here in the North Texas area. So come on out for a good time, have a lot of fun, meet the guys. All right, Dante, that you shared with us your evidence eradication there in segment number 1. What other stories do you have?
How about a sovereign citizen story? Y'all dealt with any of these guys? Surely John has.
Which lawsuits you want to talk about?
Right. Okay. Man, that one of my favorites. We had a local here in Navarro County that you just never know what goes through these people's head and why they think they're right. But this fella just had no regard for anything and just a sandwich short of a picnic overall, get called to a fire one day. We were under a burn ban, and there was a column of smoke that I'm pretty sure the International Space Station could see. It was dark, black. He had tires in there. He had foam mattresses in there. Bonfire probably, it was massive. I mean, I don't know where he got all this junk. You can't make me put that fire out, he says. I said, listen, look, I almost said his name. We'll call him Cappy. I said, listen, man, you got to put the fire out. If you don't put it out, I'm going to put it out for you, and you're probably not going to like how we do it. He's not. It's an hour before the end of shift. I'm ready to go home. I really don't want to have to do any freaking paperwork. He's not listening to me. He won't let me in the gate of his property. You can't come in here. I'm a sovereign citizen. Man, his little 1 acre, of land. He had designated as his own country. um,
Did he have a name for his country?
no, there's another story though that I remember hearing on the news somewhere around DFW years ago. But that guy named his little place Dagestan. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. That guy was shooting at airplanes.
Yeah.
Enemy airspace.
Yeah. But no, this guy was just left of center. I mean, he just threw the hell off. But I ended up just dragging him over his little cattle gate and taking him to jail, having the fire department put the fire out. The house that they lived in a little travel trailer. I say a little, it's about a 50-foot travel trailer. It's pretty good size, but he man, they just had cat shit all over the floor. You were walking in about an inch of excrement. It was nasty. Him and his wife, and they would have kids, and kids would get taken away from CPS. They would just keep making babies. It was just not a cool situation. But the guy over the freaking fire just acted like we were crazy. We're under a freaking burn ban, and he's like, nope, can't make me do it. I'm like, yes, sir, we can. Luckily things went my way that night. I didn't have to do a use of force report or anything like that. But
Yeah, but how long did it take to put the fire out though?
oh my gosh, man. I got off at 4 p.m. and I know they were out there till after midnight.
Oh, wow.
Easily, yeah, those tires, man.
Yeah.
That's a good fire.
It was nuts.
Now you should have found a bunch of other officers with fire extinguishers, ran out there and started putting it out before the fire department got there, because we all know how they love that whenever you put out a fire for them.
John, do you remember the tar pit fires?
Which one?
The tar pit fires?
Oh, yeah. Meteorites started hitting,
Yes, okay, that's the
volcanoes,
one.
everything. Pterodactyls, wings would catch on fire and just
Okay,
spread
I
them.
figured it would.
It just go from spot to spot. It was bad.
That's why the ozone's so thin nowadays.
It is. Don't let anybody believe you about global warming. No, it's the pterodactyls.
All right, John. Since we've established that you've been in the profession for a very lengthy period of time, share some stories with us. Give us some more of those great stories.
Episode 6, whenever we had the Princeton officer here, he was talking about when he was with Collin County and the K-9 and all that. Well, I was a K-9 officer for 8 years. Now, DPS, we did not have patrol dogs. We had detection dogs. Most of our dogs were all sporting breed, labs, setters, pointers, the good dogs go out hunting with, all that. Well, my dog I had was Caliber. He was a chocolate lab. And Caliber was acquired from a kennel in Columbia, South Carolina. And I brought him back to Texas. And he was as good as gold with me. You get him around in a crowd, Cujo. Didn't matter who it was. Didn't matter what you were wearing. Good
Really?
uniform, bad uniform, didn't matter. Cujo came out. We were doing a search one night and kind of got tickled because my captain over at the sheriff's office, it started out as a police officer in Bowie whenever I was stationed in Monte County. And he was assigned in the North Texas Regional Drug Task Force as a TFO. They were using me all the time. We get up there, he goes to do, calls me out to do this search. Well, everything's going good and everything, and dog alerts on the child safety seat in the back seat.
Mm.
Of course, our meth cooking doper is holding his child, and I'm like, Dope is either in the car seat or on the baby.
Diver, yeah.
Yep. He gets up there, one thing leads to another. They put him in the car, back seat. Well, I'm still continuing my search. try and get Caliber past the car seat. Accidentally slam his door or his tail in the door.
Oh.
Cujo comes out in them.
Oh.
Officers are scattering, jumping up on the hoods of the cars, everything.
Oh.
Now, take it. Crook is in the back seat of the car holding his infant child, looking, trying to figure out why everybody's running and this dog's going ballistic. We get the guy out, after we put the dog up. We get the guy out, get talking to him. Of course, no, there ain't no dope. If there's any dope, I planted it, and all this. And, of course, I lose it with them. We get up there and end up finding about, 6.5 ounces of meth in the baby's diaper. Let's shoot along here about 2 years. We go for a warrant at this guy's house. Get there. He's not cooking. We just got an arrest warrant on him. Well, we hear something up in the attic. Gets up there, and we got the dog there because we're going to search the house. Well, about that time, this TFO hollers at him. He goes, "Hey, we know you're in this house, and we think you're up in that attic. We're fixing to put this dog up there." Of course, Caliber's going berserk because there's people around growling, barking, everything. And this is the same dog that the guy saw 2 years before that was attacking police officers, chewing legs off, everything else. It was not good. About that time, get up there, and Wes hollers again. He goes, "Last time, we're fixing to throw that dog up here." And all of a sudden, the guy hollers, "I'm coming out, I'm coming out." And all of a sudden, he starts throwing bags of meth out.
Nice.
Hey, this is
That's
nice.
icing on the cake right there.
It is, We get up there, and of course, he climbs down, and Caliber's sitting there, hugging and everything, and just going along. And, the stories with the dogs is almost as good as that partner you worked with for years, because you have a bond with them on there. One more quick story on the dog. We were doing a bust out up in Wichita Falls at one of the bars up there. We had an undercover criminal intelligence, DPS. He'd been up there in a poker game for not continuous, but he'd been playing for 6 weeks up there at this poker game. House was keeping the money. So we decided we're going to do a bust out. We meet at the Wichita Falls DPS office that morning to go over, we're going to do the bust out that evening. Of course, I've got Caliber pulled up underneath the awning where everybody has to walk by. Of course, every time they walk by, he does his Cujo on them, threatening to kill them and all that. Our undercover, I'm going to say his name. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, please don't.
But he comes by, and Caliber goes ballistic on him. And I'm like, no. And I happen to be there. And I say, "Hey, come on up here." Of course, he walks up there, and he's like, "I don't want to get near the dog." I said, "Come on, just rub his ears." Rub his ears? Hell, he's going to take my fingers off. Well, Caliber stuck his old head up there, and our UC starts rubbing his ears. I mean, and here in a minute, old Caliber's just loving on him big time. Let's go forward about 8 hours. We're in this bust out. Our UC still in the game. The deal was, and besides the gambling, they were selling dope out of there and everything. Typical scumbag place. We get up there, and the deal was all the women are going to leave their purses laying on the ground. Everybody's going to sit in their chairs, not move. I'm just going to run and do a free air search on them. Caliber comes by our UC, stops, turns, looks at Jim, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what now?" Caliber sits down just as plain as can be, puts his paw up on his knee,
Nuzzling on him.
and starts nuzzling on him. And of course, our UC comes out of it real good. He's like, "What the hell's wrong with this dog?" And I said, "You got any dope on you?" And the guy goes, No. I said, "Bullshit. Come on. You got on with me."
Yeah, get him out of there.
We get up there, and this guy was a good UC. He gets up there afterwards. Of course, we're in the back room. He goes, "God almighty." He said, "All my times under UC, and who'd I get busted by? But a darn drug dog."
By the dog.
And he said that was it. That thing turned out to a good night. We got money hidden in the safe, in the floor safe. We got dope, and then right before we leave, a van pulls up, and they want to know if they can if the game's still going on, of course, we're in uniform and everything. And they're like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, come on.
yeah, oh, yeah, come on. They just drove in from El Paso, run the dog over, get 6 keys of coke out of the van. And I'm like, boy, you talking about a good deal there.
Whoa.
But like I said, there's tons of stories with that dog that
I've also
have
said
to be for another time.
I've also said that we don't catch the smart ones.
No. They were dropped on their heads as child, you know.
That kind of makes you want to stay out front of that establishment and just wait and see if any other cars roll up.
Yeah, TABC finally shut it down. Oh, you mean now? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we went back there several more times, and they were still having poker games going on. You know, they don't learn. It's typical.
Well, maybe it's so profitable for them. They're like, we can afford to get busted.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
just,
price of business.
that's it. We'll set back up again. Canine units, man. When we talk about police canines and you talk about getting bitten, and yes, I've been bitten a couple of times by our dog, and we had a dog at one point in time. We were actually doing a building search of a church, and one of my academy classmates was in there with me, and we opened up one door in this hallway, had the dog and canine handler with us. We opened up a door in a hallway, and it goes to a little closet space, but there was a ladder going up to the roof. It was roof access. So my academy classmate walks up to the ladder, and he looks up like he's about to get on the ladder, and the canine just lurched forward and bit him on the ass. It was hilarious. That was great. And we had another dog, different dog, that the handler turned loose, and we had some guys that were evading on foot, and they were running away. And as this dog, you can hear this dog running up behind you. Every officer's just trying to scale a fence and get up off the ground because that dog was so happy to bite anything he could that he was going to bite the closest thing he found. And it's like, just get the hell away from the dog, and maybe he'll catch the bad guy. So, yeah,
They are pretty fickle too, because I know I've never been canine, but I've had buddies that were, and I've even heard stories. And one of the guys that I used to work with said that he finally got out because his dog was a stress shitter. So they would be searching buildings, and they would get done, and he'd finally find what they're looking for, if it's the bad guy or whatever, and the dog just drop a load right there when he was done. He's like, he was never more embarrassed when the dog would just drop it, and he's like, of course your job to clean it up. So I'd have never wanted to be a canine guy.
Yeah.
I could never volunteer for that.
No, it ruined me.
No, yeah, and then you've got different types of dogs out there, and you've got the passive alert dogs, and then you've got
Oh, yeah. Mine was aggressive.
and then you got aggressive alert dogs. And there was one night that our canine officer was off duty. We had a car. We suspected that this guy had dope in his car, so we called the next city over. Canine handler brought his dog over. It was an aggressive alert. We're dealing with a brand new Cadillac car. That dog jumped in the back seat and was just ripping apart the back seats to this car, and we were all we're used to a passive alert dog. We're like, holy crap! So,
And I'm sure the handler was egging it on because you trust your dog.
Yes.
He says, "Hey, it's there. Do it."
yeah, and the rest of us are like, oh my god, we're used to our dog walks up,
Dear
sniffs, and sits
Sergeant.
down.
Dear
Yeah.
Sergeant.
Yeah, the minimal was it? The minimal destroying whatever it was called now.
The canines are awesome, though. What an awesome tool to have, and good tool, good resource by all means. Dante, you got anything else out there?
Got a foot chase story. What about one of those quiet nights where you just don't have anything to do? You're just kind of wandering around aimlessly. And I was riding through a residential area, and something just catches my peripheral vision. So I look over. There's a guy's legs hanging out of a window inside of a house. Hit my
Call that a
spotlight
clue.
on him. Yeah, hit my spotlight on him. He sticks his head back out and looks at me and jumps out and runs towards the back. Okay, here we go. So I bail out of the car running after him. We get a couple of blocks over, can't find the guy. By now I've called in, and so I've got city, DPS, another county unit with me. We're looking for this guy, find him hiding under a car, chases on again. He takes off running again. We do this for about 30 minutes. It was like a cartoon. Like, he hides until we find him, and then he bolts again. We cannot get in front of this guy. Finally, I catch a break. We're running through a pasture, and he falls in a hole, and I am able to tackle him and grab him. This guy's like 6'6", real thin, skinny. He will not. We're getting him in the car, and he will not bend and lay in the car or sit in the car. I just roll the back window down, tie one of those ankle straps around his ankles, stick it in the door. And by the way, it's January, probably 15 degrees outside and rainy. We're riding to the car or to the jail. I've got people flashing their lights at me, telling me I've got somebody's feet sticking out of my back window. Pull into the jail like this. By the time we get into the jail, he's got on blue jeans and he's got basketball shorts on underneath those blue jeans. In this right front pocket, we pull an 8-ball out of his, and I'm not talking billiards, pull an 8-ball out of his the basketball shorts, not the jeans. Hey, looky here. What he says, those aren't my shorts. I'm like, you're wearing them. He told me he was at the gym earlier and just found them and just put them on. So guess what I charge him with? On top of
you told him theft.
Charge him with theft.
Theft under 50. Plus the drugs, plus the burglary and the evading. He had a good night. That was one of my favorite. Luckily that was all on camera. He was like, "No, those ain't mine, man. I just took those shorts from the gym."
No, he's just misunderstood. I mean, that's all it is.
Right.
That's awesome. Go ahead and charge him with theft of the shorts if he's saying they're not his. Welcome back to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Co-host for today, Detective Curtis Hadley.
Glad to be here.
Joining us in studio, retired Deputy John Pellizzari.
Retired.
Nice. It's a good Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. And joining us remotely from Corsicana, Texas, we've got Officer Dante Johson.
Hello.
Now, before we get started here in our third and final segment on today's show, I do want to remind our listeners, if you have not been to the website yet, check it out, offbeatcopshow.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow.com. You can, on the website, you can actually view all episodes and listen to all episodes there. And also, if you are an officer and you've got a funny story to tell on the show, then give us a shout. Send us an email at offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And if you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit the like button. Give us a like there. Spread the word about the show to everybody. I've had the opportunity this week to speak to several different officers who will be appearing on future shows. And all I had to say is that we've got some awesome guests coming up. So, yeah, spread the word about the show, guys, and stay tuned for some amazing episodes. Now, John, during the break, you shared a story with us, and I think we need to close out with your story today. So, you're retired. We'll give you the honors. Share it with us.
As Dante talked about about making the car stop, getting his first drug arrest, had the bag of weed, truck goes by, weed goes everywhere. And I will agree with him too when he talks about there's weed growing all over all these county roads.
Absolutely.
Because back in the days, if they had a little bit, you're going to get a ticket for paraphernalia, you're going to dump it out. Stopped the car one afternoon, 287 northbound. This guy's going along. As I get out of the car, I look, and he's got a parrot, a macaw parrot, back and forth on the headrest.
Wait, so the bird's just moving back and forth inside his car?
Just moving back and forth.
Under straight load, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, had it been the driver, of course, the driver's real calm. I'm thinking, bird's nervous about something.
Bird's got something to hide.
And of course, if anybody's been on 287, that's worse than the interstate. You were up there last week, I guess,
Yeah.
driving on that fine road. But whatever, we're up there. I walk up to the car. The guy starts to roll the window down. Just about the time I get from me to you from it, all of a sudden the bird flies out. About the time the bird flies out, here comes a semi. Bird flies right in front of the semi. Green feathers go everywhere. I look at the guy and I said, "Sir, you need to slow down. Thank you for your courtesy." I turn around and walk back to the car.
Oh my Lord.
I was thinking, this is too good to be true. Where is cops? Where is the real stories of highway patrol with you when you need to be filming something like this? And honestly, like I said, I was a dog person. I'm an animal person. I felt sorry for the deal, but I'm like, why do if he knew the bird was going to fly, why did he let it do it?
It's like, Polly want a mirror?
Yeah. I think he got a grill of a Peterbilt.
Oh my Lord.
Oh,
I bet Thanksgiving really sucked that year for that guy.
Poor bird.
It was emotional.
Look at the bird there laying no feathers.
Well, here's what gets me. When that truck driver got to wherever he was going, his first stop, because I know he had to see the feathers, but he just kept going. Can you imagine? And we've all got out and found birds embedded in our grills and stuff.
Yep.
Ain't nobody going to believe this. I've got a parrot stuck on the front of my truck. Nah.
some exotic bird. Yeah.
If it had been a Disney movie, he'd have a sling on his arm, no feathers, beak all broken. It's like, damn it, man! I never saw it coming.
Yeah. What do you say to the violator at that point? When you walk up there, he's got his window down, his bird flies out, 18-wheeler hits it, and you're just like
I said, I told him, have a nice day, ask you if you slow down, turn around and walk out, because he has no idea, except he got stopped by highway patrol on 287. Mm-hmm. No, and a name like Pellizzari, it stood out, trust me. That's why I always wore either Smith or Jones whenever we went to write, or write, because that was, too easy.
Yeah, got to borrow someone else's name.
And like I said, it was a good career, and there's stories like that galore, good ones and bad ones.
Well, John, we appreciate your dedication to the profession, the fact that you did 45 years, all jokes aside. I mean, I do want to talk to you after the show about what, Doc Holliday and White Earp were like, though. But
Doc was a drunk. But Boot Nose Kate, she was hot.
Oh, God. Okay. Again, we appreciate 45 years in the profession. Congratulations on your retirement today, sir. And we will definitely have you back on in the future, because we need to pick your brain on some of these stories, because you're a wealth of knowledge in this profession. Guys, that's what we've got for today. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe and watch each other six.